morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Wednesday, July 12th, 2017. I am Dave Biddle. I'm very happy to be joined by Jonah Booker. Jay Book, let's start with Ohio State football recruiting. Taking Jackson Carman and Micah Parsons and Jeremy Ruckert off the board, who are the most important recruits for Ohio State to land in their 2018 class?
Taking those guys off the board at this point, I would say Anthony Cook, for the simple fact that if you look at the Big Ten, okay, and you look at the wide receivers that are coming into this conference day, you're talking about prime time players. You look at Donovan Peoples-Jones at Michigan, and you look at the kid that Penn State's bringing this year, 24/7, moves him up to a 5-star number one wide receiver. He's a big body. Donovan Peoples-Jones, he's a big body. You look at the Moore kid that went to Nebraska this class. He's a big-time wide receiver. So the play and the talent that's coming to the Big Ten as far as the wide receiver position, it's being elevated to a new level. So what does that mean for Ohio State? That means Ohio State needs to have the defensive backs that can lock those guys down. And that's why I look at Anthony Cook. I mean, anytime that you can get a 5-star corner, and it makes it that much sweeter for a guy to be coming from Texas, especially a Clay Mack type of prodigy who, you know, all accounts, Clay Mack is the guru of defensive backs in the country. So Cook is going to come in very polished, the same way Jeffrey Okudah came in, very polished skills-wise. So that's the guy that I'm looking at, for the simple fact that our rivals, they're bringing in prime-time players at that wide receiver position. We need to counter that with prime-time lockdown corners.
And the reason I took Jackson Carman and Micah Parsons and Jeremy Ruckert off the board is because I am ultra confident the Buckeyes are going to land all three of them. I want to make that clear to the listeners out there. Do you concur with that, or anything can happen in recruiting? I'm not saying Carman and Parsons and Ruckert are locks, but I'll be very surprised if the Buckeyes don't end up landing all three of them. Do you concur with that, or do you think there's a chance that maybe one or two of those guys might go elsewhere?
Right now, and I agree with you. If I had to rank them, I would say Ruckert 1, Carman 2, Parsons 3. And the reason why I would have Parsons at number 3 is for the simple fact that Ohio State, they're going hard at other defensive linemen as well. You talk about the New Jersey kid who could be at Friday Night Lights. Then you talk about the Cleveland who's coming down defensive end. He could be a potential. He just received a bump in the rankings. So they're going at several other defensive linemen.
Moving on, I had Duane on the show yesterday, and he surprised me a little bit. He's not really concerned with the right side of the offensive line. I'm concerned with it. Talking about whoever was going to be the right guard, Matt Burrell, Malcolm Pridgeon, Demetrius Knox, whoever's going to end up being the right guard, and then Isaiah Prince at right tackle. Do you think that group's going to be that those two spots are going to be good, or are you concerned about those two spots?
I'm concerned about it. I mean, the position at the right tackle was such a big problem last year. I mean, at this point, there's only one place to go, and that's up. And Duane is very high on this offensive line. I'm not there yet. So I'm just, going through my head, I play a little game like, what are they going to be this year compared to last year? So if we go left or right across the board, at left tackle, I say yes, Jamarco Jones will be better this year than he was last year. He's getting stronger in the weight room. He has more experience. He's a veteran. So I say yes. Left guard, I think Michael Jordan is going to be better. He was just a puppy last year thrown into the fire. So I think he's going to have a better season. At center, I don't think Billy Price is going to be better than Pat Elflein. You're talking about Elflein, who was a guy who's, could be starting in the NFL from day one. So I'm not sold on Billy Price being better at the center position. At right guard, I would say no. The person that's going to be coming in for Billy Price, I don't think they're going to be better than Price, who was an all Big Ten right guard. And right tackle, I have a major question mark. I'm leaning yes for the simple fact that it can't get any worse than it was last year. So if you take into account from left to right, I have definite two yeses on the left side who I think is going to be better. and right guard, I say no. Right tackle, I'm leaning yes with a question mark. So overall, you would think that it could be a better offensive line. It's going to be contingent on how well the right tackle plays this year. Now, can Kevin Wilson often scheme to help these guys out? I don't know if they're going to be that role graders type of offensive line that we saw in 2014 when carried the Buckeyes to a national championship. That was the heart and soul of that team. Can the offensive line be better than last year? Absolutely, they can be, but I have my question marks.
Yeah, I like 3/5 of the offensive line. I really like Jamarco Jones, a left tackle. I think he's going to be fantastic. I thought he was really good last year. He was just a first-year starter, even though he's a junior. Now as a senior, second-year starter, I think Jamarco Jones is going to be tremendous. I think Michael Jordan in his second year, he's going to make that big leap. They say from freshman to sophomore year, you make your biggest leap. And then I think Billy Price is going to be tremendous at center. I really always thought that was his best position. But my biggest concerns, I am very concerned about right guard and also concerned about right tackle until Isaiah Prince proves me otherwise. A couple more topics and I'll let you go. Switching gears here, this is a pretty basic question, a couple, two-part question. Will the Buckeyes win the Big Ten title, Jay Book, and will they make the college football playoff this season?
My gut tells me yes, they will win the Big Ten title, and I think it's all going to be contingent on how JT Barrett performs. When I look at this year's team, I'm going to compare it to the 2014 team, which sets the gold standard there. And that 2014 team, that offense averaged 44 points a game. JT Barrett, he threw for 2,800 yards, 34 TDs, 10 INTs. He rushed for almost another 1,000. The offense altogether rushed for 4,000 yards. Can this offense put up those type of numbers? And I think they can. I think Kevin Wilson, with his scheme and his coaching ability, I think he's going to be able to squeeze as much juice out. Then if you look at the defense, I think this defense is going to be much more saltier than the 2014 defense, especially that defensive line. I think the defense is what's going to set the tone for this year in this team. So I'm very bullish on the defense. The offense, I think they have the potential to score high volume. The simple fact is I think this defense is going to give this offense the opportunity to score points on the short field. So with that combined, I think this team will win the Big Ten. They will get a berth into the college football playoffs. It's going to be contingent once they get into that playoff. How will that offensive line play? You're going against grown men on that defensive line, whoever you that's making it to the playoffs. Championships are won up front. Our offensive line got absolutely destroyed against Clemson. We can't have that happen again. But as far as the initial question, Big Ten, yes. Playoffs, yes. Championship, that's another question to be asked at a later date.
I agree with you. I like it. Right now I'm predicting Ohio State will win the Big Ten. They will make the playoffs. I even think they could lose a game, and I think that's a strong possibility. They could be 12-1 in the college football playoffs, just like they were in 2014. And whether they're going to be national champs, we'll predict that when that time comes if they do make the playoffs. But I'm with you on that.
I tell you this, Dave. The margin for error is going to be a lot smaller than it was last year, for the simple fact that I can't see Ohio State not winning the Big Ten and making a playoff similar to last year. I think they cashed in those chips with that Clemson performance. The College Football Playoff Committee, they're going to receive major scrutiny from the public that you have to put in the conference champ if they earned it. And I'm not saying it's right. The objective is to get the 4 best teams into the playoffs, but I think the pressure is going to be so high, especially after they picked Ohio State to go to the playoffs after they lost to Penn State, and Penn State won the Big Ten championship. So for the Buckeyes, yes, they can lose a game, but the caveat is they have to win the Big Ten championship to get in my opinion.
Very well said. Hey, before I let you go, it was 1 month ago today when Chris Holtmann was announced as Ohio State's head men's basketball coach. He was hired, a couple days before that, but he was announced exactly 1 month ago today, had his introductory press conference. Curious to get your thoughts on the job that he has done since that time, including recruiting. He hired Scoonie Penn yesterday as director of player development. Just the job you think Chris Holtmann has done so far over his first month.
Yeah. It's just flat out impressive right now. I mean, a couple big major moves for him. Obviously, bringing Scoonie Penn in to help with player development is going to be big time. A guy who is a Buckeye through and through, he's going to be able to help in that aspect. And then you just look at recruiting. I mean, at one point it looked like Ohio State was dead in the water, and boom, within a month, he has the best recruiting class in the Big Ten. So you can't be impressed with what he's doing. I'm very excited with the trajectory of the basketball program. If he can do this in 1 month, and if he can start winning some basketball games, the sky's the limit for him.
Great wisdom, as always, from my guy Jonah Booker. Thank you very much, J-Buck. You can catch his column every week on Bucknuts. It is Outside Columbus. Thanks again to Jonah Booker, and thanks to all the listeners out there for tuning into the show. I appreciate it. Hope you have a great day. Let's hear that Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.